He has, every speech that I have been present for has been very amazing, both in the, covering some difficult, complex material in a very easy to understand way and being able to convey and communicate very well. So I'm very pleased to announce as our Toastmaster this evening, David Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. President. That way to set that bar high.
Well, appreciate that.
Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Glad everybody's here today. We did get started a little bit late, but we should be able to move through fairly quickly, especially since we have to flip through to find a second speaker, but I believe Thomas is going to take care of that. So I'm just going to make a little change here. Our first speaker tonight is Christine. She'll be followed by Thomas. Our table topics master tonight is going to be Yannick. The general evaluator will be Maurice. Our first evaluator, Heather has volunteered for that this evening. Ren is going to be the second evaluator. John will be our timer. Justin is our grammarian. And our educational overview tonight will be Cody. Mr. General Evaluator, do you want to...
Yes, I'll give a brief description. The general evaluator basically gives an evaluation of the meeting as a whole, whether it started on time and whether the podium was always occupied, little details like that. And then I will also introduce the first and second evaluator as they give evaluations of each speech. And I'll also introduce the timer's report and the grammarian's report. Well, those who are doing those reports, I should say.
Thank you, Maurice. John, as the timer, would you like to let everybody know what your role is going to be today and how we are to view your display materials?
Sure. So we time our speeches. Our first two speeches, the green card will go up at 5 minutes. The yellow card will go up at 6 minutes. And the red card will go up at 7 minutes. You do have 30 seconds on either side, so if you go under by 30 or over by 30, it's not a big deal, it's not penalized. Also our table topics, the green will go up at 1 minute, yellow at 1:30, and the red at 2 minutes. And our evaluations, green will be at 2 minutes, yellow at 2:30, and red at 3 minutes.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Justin, as our grammarian today, would you like to let us know what it is you're going to do and what our word of the day is?
Yes, so the word of the day is euphoria, which is unusual that we have a word of the day that I actually know what it means. So that's great. Also as grammarian, I'll be looking for grammatical errors, listening to the speeches and trying to find grammatical mistakes, and also counting filler words, so's, double clutch words, repeating words, and some of the habits that I'm doing right now. And I'll record those and provide a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Justin. Our first speaker this evening is Christine Yori. She's been a Toastmaster for quite some time. She actually joined a little bit sooner than I did, maybe a few meetings before. We did our icebreaker speeches almost back to back. I think you did yours one week, I did mine the next week in the downtown club. And then we both kind of went on a little hiatus for a little while. So she's done one or two more speeches since, but she's going to backslide a little bit because it's been so long that she's done one. So this evening she's going to give us her second speech. I do not know what the title is, so I will let Christine come up and tell you what her title is and let her entertain us with her speech.
Okay, so my speech today, the title is Plant for the Bees. I am a beekeeper. I'm going to start out my speech with a quote. The hum of bees is the voice of the garden. Bees are made over 130 million years ago by short-tongued wasps. And at that time, plants started to develop different colors and petal patterns to attract the bees. And once they started attracting the bees, the honeybee was eventually created. They started creating nectar in the flowers, and the honeybee was created. Did you know that if all the bees were to die off, man would only live 4 years longer? Knowing that now, you may be interested in planting for the bees. I'm sure that most of you have a small patch of earth that you could use, or maybe a little deck, or even a little balcony that you can put some plants out there, and hopefully a little bit of water for the bees or the pollinators. It doesn't have to be just bees. It can be any of the pollinators, which are butterflies, and there's different wasps, yellow jackets, things like that. So you can use any of those. The simple requirements for bees and other pollinators to survive is water, food, security, and shelter. You'll need some type of fresh water. It could be either leaky hose, like just a little drip, something that's fresh, just constantly fresh, where you keep switching it out, or bird bath, anything small. You can put little pebbles in it or driftwood so the bees can stay from not drowning. They need something to land on so they don't just have a puddle of water. So just imagine waking up in the warm comfort of your house of 5,000 sisters and a mom, the queen. You fly off to gather food for your loved ones when the sun comes up, and you don't come back till your saddlebags are full. Well, you do this over and over till the sun goes down. After a while, you get thirsty, but the only water source has no landing for you, so you die. You drown. So we definitely want to make sure that when you do have your water source out there, that you have like pebbles or something in there for the bees to land on. To feed the bees, you need to choose plants that will bloom all year long. Continuous variety is key. Envision your flower beds as banquet tables. There should always be a fresh offering of an assortment of flowers blooming. Be careful when making your selections. Native plants and old-fashioned ones. So like the ones, like, I don't know, over the years people will crossbreed plants and they're not really native, and they're just like, they don't really produce as much nectar. So you really want to go for just the main old school plants, nothing that's really been hybrid and melded together. Some plant families that typically do very well attracting bees are the rose family, roses, the mint family, and aster. Those are all very nice nectar attracting plants, flowers. Bats are also, they're going extinct, and bats love to eat mosquitoes. And I want people to not use pesticides, so I think everyone should buy a bat house, because one bat house can hold, I don't know, probably 20 bats, but each bat can eat 1,500 mosquitoes a night. So if we can just get some bats to live around here, then we wouldn't have to have all these sprayers killing off all of our bees, and then we could live forever. I bought a bat house on Amazon, and I spray this little attractant out there, but no bats yet. Sometimes it takes a couple years for them to move in, so I think we should all buy one, and hopefully they'll move in eventually. So if you use pesticides, though, try to at least use them at nighttime or early in the morning before the bees fly out, so it would have enough time to dry. It's just once you spray something, the bees come and land on it right away and bring it home, and they'll start dying off. So if you spray it at night, it has all night to just sit there, and the bees won't bring it into their home. It'll already be dry when they're on their feet. So this winter, when you dream of your new garden beds, plan one for the bees. And remember, when the flower blossoms, the bee will come. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. I actually remember you giving that speech at the downtown club and learned so much from bees. I had no idea that bees were so important to the life of humans. And bats. You want to bats live in West Mobile, where I live in Greenlock and Hillcrest. We get bats
Icebreaker.
all year round. And you're right, we don't have very many mosquitoes.
Right.
So our second speaker is Thomas. Thomas is our current president of our great organization here. And he's going to speak about, it's all about personality. Something I'm lacking a little bit at the moment. But he'll come up and he'll pep us all up and give us a little bit more of that personality, and hopefully we'll all get a little bit of euphoria from it. So, Thomas?
So the hardest speech for me, as crazy as it sounds, even to this point, having completed my Confident Communicator, is the icebreaker speech. I get really nervous when I talk about myself. For those who've been here a while, I don't use notes on most speeches. I have notes tonight. Because in spite of having practiced this one for several weeks now, I'm still not fully ready to give it without notes. The Briggs-Myers personality test has 4 categories for 4 parts, 2 categories for 4 parts of your personality, developing, I think, 16 different personality matrices. Several psychologists today say it's not perfect because no one is actually 100% in a single side of any of the traits. However, it does get to your tendencies and the things that you more naturally lean towards over the things that you shy away from. Last year, what got me into Toastmasters was I had to take a leadership development course. It was a year long at my work. And the first thing we did on the very first day was to take the Myers-Briggs personality test to get put into one of the 16 categories. And at the end of it, I got the same result I got in high school and college, and the other time in college, I got what is called an INTJ. And most engineers will understand exactly what that is, because most engineers are INTJs. That's just one of the things that makes us the way we are. But what's that personality mean? I is introversion. N stands for intuition, T stands for thinking, and J stands for judgment. So it's how you approach the world. The opposites of a pure opposite of me, which is actually my wife, is an ESFP, an extroversion, sensing, feeling, perception person. That's what you lean towards. Introversions are the people that you see sitting in the corner at the party, watching the party and enjoying that. They're happy in the corner by themselves, just watching and having that contemplative time about what's going on at the party that they're happy to be at. They're more of those quiet ones, typically. Not shy, that's very different. My wife is shy, I am not. But when push comes to shove, I'm the guy reading a book in the corner, and she's the person speaking to all of you and enjoying every minute of it. Just so you know, introversion, like I said, isn't shy. For example, Dan Aykroyd, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Chevy Chase are all eyes on this spectrum. So the opposite is extroversion, and we all very much know, because in American culture, extroversion is the way to be. The next is intuition. It focuses on how you make your decisions here. Instead of just knowing what's right, you get little pieces of data, and you infer, and you figure out what should be right based on what you already know, instead of just that gut feeling. People who are sensing have those gut feelings, and they're right a lot of times, but they just have the gut feelings, and they go with it, and it works out. The people who go on intuition are the ones that, well, based on my past experience, which if you've ever talked to an engineer, you will hear almost in every conversation that we talk about things, based on past experience or what I learned in college. My wife hates that. My brother-in-law and my wife both say I'm the due to physics person. I'm a civil engineer, so I studied a lot of physics. And so whenever they bring up something that they don't understand, well, due to physics. Because I can explain this, and this is how I see my world. Thinking versus feeling are yet again how you make your judgments. This is not how you make decisions, this is how you make judgments, which are different actually. Judgments are the way you see things as good, come to the decision of is it good or is it bad. People who are feeling do it by, it makes me feel good. So obviously, this is good. Those who are thinking are the ones that you see sitting there after a decision has been made or something has happened and they're just stewing over it for an hour or days, depending on how bad it was. When I got engaged to my wife, I knew this was a good thing because I had spent weeks stewing over it before I proposed. I was making sure that this was a good decision. I was thinking about it long and hard, but that's the way I approach the world. My wife said yes immediately because it felt great. And that's actually her reason. I even asked one day, so I'm like, why'd you say yes? Because dating you and being near you just feels great. Why wouldn't I want that all the time? The final part of my personality is J, which is called judgment. It means that I like to have plans and I like things to be settled. We make a decision, we're done. People who are about perception, they don't care if it's actually settled. They just want it to feel settled. And for us to all be able to move forward, whether it's truly settled or not. Nope, we've agreed, we're done. We don't ever have to talk about this again. Ever. My son hates that about me. He's 6. Everything is up for negotiation, even if we negotiated it 2 minutes ago. And he lost. So, that's who I am. This is the 3rd rarest personality type. The only one rare is the INTP. Because those first 3 don't perfectly match with that last one. It becomes a little bit more rare than this personality type, which makes up most engineers. So I hope through this you've gotten to know me from a different perspective than just who I am when I stand up here in front of all of you as president. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Thomas. So what is the peak?
Perception.
Perception. So you can have intuition, just not perception.
Oh yeah, I can't see crowd.
That concludes the speeches. We're now going to go into our table topics portion. Our table topics master tonight is Yannick. I know absolutely nothing about Yannick. This is only the 2nd time I've ever seen him, so I don't have much of an introduction to give for him. So Yannick, come up and speak for yourself.
All right, I will be giving the table topics. Table topics are a good exercise to test your on-the-fly speech-giving skills. We're going to be looking for volunteers. Once we select a volunteer, I will go ahead and give them a predetermined table topic, and then we'll give a speech accordingly. Do we have any volunteers for the first one? All right.
I'll time you. I would clock, I think.
You have just created a web-based app that will revolutionize commerce as we know it. Soon after your public debut, you find yourself giving a speech at the Global Tech Conference in hopes to spread your concept and build interest on your product.
It's on Amazon, guys.
Thank you, Hunter. Hello, everyone, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. My name is John Yori. I've created this beautiful, beautiful thing, which I'm going to present for you today. Here at Yori Incorporated Global, International, and Domestic, we have created this beautiful app, which comes down from the sky and tells you the best price on not only airfare, hotels, rental cars, the taxi, and the Uber. All right, we're taking everything out of the equation here, except for just have a good time. What we're doing for you is we are becoming the adult babysitter of the United States today. So a lot of times people don't want to think when they go on vacation. They don't want to book the flight. They don't want to hail a cab or even call the Uber. Well, that's where we step in. We take your hand and we hold it and we take you over here. Do you want to go over here? How about back? Do you want to go back to where you were? No problem at all. Just pay us a little bit of money. We'll take you wherever you want to go. We'll keep a smile on your face at all times. So, when you're ready to just relax, and I mean really relax, not even think if you don't want to, then you call us at Yori, international, global, and domestic. And we'll put a smile on your face today. Thank you, everyone.
Business is booming, and the Internet Equality Act has just been repealed. Your investors are worried about your product receiving enough exposure and being able to reach its potential customers. You tell your investors about your successes and reassure them that you will be able to cover the extra expenses needed to make. Oh, forgot to pick somebody. Anybody up for that?
This one's out.
Keep going. You were done.
I thought you volunteered.
Yeah,
You gotta
let me know what I'm doing.
You tell your investors about your previous successes and reassure them that you will be able to cover the extra expenses needed to maintain a strong web presence. Tell us about some previous successes.
Thank you, board. Wish I could tell you I had good news today. Fortunately, things aren't looking good with our From the Sky global, international, domestic app. We're running out of money, but it looks like we can hold for a little while longer. We still have a few dollars in the kitty that may get us by. If anybody has any ideas at all, if you can reach deep and dig in those checkbooks and try to come up with some more cash, we could really, really use it. Because right now, both of our customers that are using our app, they aren't very happy. If we get to the point where they both back out and we run out of cash, I will personally take responsibility as the leader of this board and fire John Yori for creating this monstrosity that we are now dealing with. Again, I apologize. We should be able to get through this, but if we don't, we'll make John suffer. Thank you.
Good luck, John.
Wish I was right on the needed after that.
All right, who wants third?
I'll take it.
Cody? All right. Many other businesses are in trouble as a direct result of your company's revolutionary breakthroughs. Due to strong lobbying by the competition, your business model has been deemed illegal. Your investors have lost millions and you are now breaking the news.
Well, welcome to this conference. Glad all the investors could fly in from all parts of the world. I know some of you had a long night traveling here. It's been a good run. We've seen some incredible spikes in the level of users, the level of revenue we've been generating, and of course, what you care about, the rate at which your stock percentage has been increasing. Unfortunately, we didn't do enough due diligence in the beginning, and we blame it on our scapegoat, the engineer that designed the product without vetting the technology and going through the government regulations that were needed to make sure that this wouldn't happen. So I greatly apologize for what has happened, but we have a little bit of money left over, and I hired the Eagles to come down. We're going to have a blowout party and finish on a good note. Thank you.
Got time for another? All right. Next victim?
I'll go.
All right, Ren. The rest are easy, so. If you could time travel to any time, when would you go?
Toastmasters, honored guests, I'm hopping in my time machine. I'm gonna head down to this Eagles party because I love the Eagles. And we're gonna party like rock stars. And we get there, Oprah Winfrey's gonna be there. Little did you know, Oprah Winfrey really don't have hair because she's a man. 6'7" linebacker for the Eagles football team. She got the memo, showed up to the wrong party. Thought it was a football party, but it was the Eagles, the band party. When we're done there, we're gonna hop back in the spaceship and go home because it was a very long and exhausting night.
That concludes the table topics for the evening. So I hand it back over to Toastmasters.
Thank you, Tony. Great topics. Love the way you flowed that into the investment side of a corporation. That was really good. Our next section is our evaluation portion. So at this point, I would like to bring up Maurice Heidelberg, who is our general evaluator today, and he will introduce the team for our evaluations and give the general evaluation of how the meeting has gone. Maurice?
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, before I get into the evaluation period, I feel a sense of euphoria for being here tonight. As a general evaluation, the meeting, as I understand, did not start on time. I was late myself, but I was informed that the meeting did not start on time. And we had a recess, a 5-minute recess. And once the recess was over, then things started to pick up. And the meeting went relatively smooth, and Toastmaster did a good job, conducted himself as Toastmaster. Now we will go to the first evaluator for the evening, who evaluated Christine's speech. And the first evaluator, I believe, is Heather.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Tonight I evaluated Christine's speech, which was speech number 2, Organize Your Speech, and it was titled Plant for the Bees. I thought this was a pretty good topic. It was interesting, and it kind of relates to me because my mom's actually a beekeeper, and she had some bees and stuff, but they like ran away, so or something like that. And I never really knew like the importance of bees and everything, but it really kind of made me think about that and how we really depend on them. So I thought that some strong points in particular that you had were that you used a good strategy, first off, with starting, as you started with a quote in the beginning of your speech, And another great thing is that you had a lot of supporting material, you provided a lot of facts. Something I think that everybody took note of was that bats, like one bat can eat 1,500 mosquitoes in a day, so that was interesting. And you just had a lot of facts that supported why we should help bees and support bees. Another thing that I thought was really good was that you strengthened your speech with your own credibility as you are a beekeeper. So it wasn't something that you just kind of researched online or anything or read about. Like, as you have experience with it, it made me believe you a lot more and trust that you really knew what you were talking about. And it was more in depth in that way than just like a research paper or just research in general. Something that I think could be improved is just maybe less use of notes, but that wasn't really too bad, and everything that you talked about was relevant and it supported the speech, so that was fine with me. And then lastly, I think it was really persuasive because the whole world depends on bees, and everything that you kind of touched on, planting for the bees, having water for them, just anything to help them do the best they can, it's really in our best interest. And I think that was really persuasive, and I just never really thought about that and how the bees are really relevant to my life and everybody else's life. So all in all, it was a really good, persuasive, organized speech, and we did a good job. So, good job.
Our second evaluator for tonight will be evaluating Thomas's speech. And the second evaluator is Ren.
All right, I'm evaluating Thomas's icebreaker. Can you believe that was his first speech ever? Pretty impressive, bro. Give you credit for that. Strong points. What strong points does the speaker have? I felt like he used great hand gestures. He moved around the podium, keeping your attention. He locked eyes throughout. I thought that was well done. He had a really nice and probably far advanced for your first speech. Introduction, body, and conclusion, that was well done as well. And he was confident and he was very prepared. He knows himself very well. Did the audience get to know the speaker during the speech? I would say yes. He went through his personality traits. He identified what he liked about himself. He identified what he liked about his wife. He identified, it was pretty thorough, I think. So from that personality evaluation, we were able to pinpoint Thomas as a person, which I thought was really cool. Did the speech reflect adequate preparation? Yes, I would say so. Did the speaker talk clearly and audibly? I would say yeah. He had great volume, he had great posture, and overall a great presence, I think, as he moved about the room, continuing to lock eye contact. Did the speech have a definite opening, body, and conclusion? I think it was great. The introduction was firm, the body was solid, you got a really good closing at the end there. He mentioned the use of notes. I didn't see much of a note aside from a glance down every now and then to kind of stay on track and see where he was within his speech, so well done there. What could the speaker have done differently? Man, I think you knocked it out of the park for your first speech. If you wanted to add something, I think you could have, changed your tonality a little bit. If you just wanted to entertain, you could have projected, or you could have been a little more traumatic. If you wanted to add some, I don't know, tonality. And then what did I like about the presentation? I just love hearing about who you are, man. It's great. So, General Evaluator, well done.
Can we get a grammar check on tonality?
Is that not proper?
I don't know, is that a word?
Yes, it's a word. Tonality, look it up. It's The reflection of your tone.
The reality of your tone.
It
Come
sounds
on,
like
man. Don't come at me.
Okay, at this time, we will have the autonomous report, and our timer for tonight was John.
That's good, man. That's real good. That's impressive. Yeah, reality. Using that.
Write it down.
Using that.
character piece of music.
Okay, timer's report. Hi, I'm John. I am the timer for this evening. Okay, so our first speech was Christine. Your speech came out at 4:38, which was within the 30-second allotment on the front side of the speech allotments. So good job on that. Your second speech was Thomas. Right there at 6:25, so you were perfect within the parameters of the requirements. Our table topics, I was the first table topic, and I went 1 minute and 38 seconds. David went 1 minute and 39 seconds. Cody went 1 minute and 16 seconds, and Ren went for 40 seconds. The first evaluator was Heather. You evaluated Christine's speech. Your evaluation was 2 minutes and 38 seconds, so well within the parameters. And also, Ren, your evaluation was 2 minutes and 40 seconds, so also well within the parameters there. Good job, everyone.
Thank you, John. At this time, we'll have the grammarian's report with Justin.
Okay, so word of the day, there was a so right there. Let's start off to the right. So the word of the day, euphoria. That was an easy one, so a lot of people should have used that, but I only heard it twice, unless I missed one. So I heard David and Maurice use euphoria. So getting into filler words, Christine, I heard an a so, a couple of likes. Thomas, there may have been something there, but
There was a
hear
so.
them. You heard one so, I didn't catch it.
I know there was one so there.
David, I got an and a double word of that. Yannick, I didn't hear anything. John, a couple of uhs in your evaluation, but your speech, I didn't notice any problem at all. Cody, didn't notice any issues. Ren, at the end there you had several uhs, a couple of ums, a couple of so's. Maurice, I didn't notice any double words or grammatical errors. Heather, you tend to use some casual kind of phrases like and stuff, kind of. That's my grammarian report.
All right, thank you. That concludes the evaluation, and I will relinquish the lectern back to the Toastmaster.
Thank you, Maurice. Good job. At this time, and I would like to point out right on time, is our educational overview by Mr. Cody Broussard.
So I'm going to quickly go over Easy Speak for some of the newer members that haven't seen it yet. Just want to bring it up, give you all an idea of what it looks like and how to use it.
Which else was this?
I've heard that before.
This is finally actually a free time. Yeah.
I like your quote there.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
my boy, Zig.
I think I figured it out. Sorry. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So when you log on, you're going to see Welcome to Hilltoppers, and you'll just click that link there. It'll bring you to our main page. And as you can see, here's the agenda for today. And you'll just come in here and it'll ask you to confirm. If you're attending, you'll hit yes. And it looks a little different because we're not in the meeting. And also you'll confirm here what role you're going to do. So it's just a nice tool to keep track of everything. And also you can check on how you're doing. So if you're curious, member statistics. So here's my, I've done the competent communicator, so it's going to show that I've completed, well, actually this is everybody's, but you can see what speeches you've done. And once you finish all your speeches, it enables the officers to quickly take a look and make sure everything is correct, and we can submit you for your competent communicator. You can also set goals in the site as well. It's a little weird. It's a little different here. Does anybody have any questions about it? Hasn't seen it yet? I know you don't have your email. I sent Thomas. I thought I could add him, but apparently.
Does everybody know how to get to the site?
Just easyspeak.org, and then you'll create a username and password based on the link that Thomas will give you.
Perfect.
The YouTube. Everybody else should have access.
So here's this is what I was looking for. So you can create goals too. So if you want to, like right, you're going pretty quick. If you wanted to hit all your speeches by a certain month next year, you can set it to kind of help you, and it'll let you know how many you need to do per month to knock it out.
Doesn't matter how often, every so many weeks. This many weeks.
So it's nice little tools. So, and also this is where we print the agenda for you, so you can get a printout of that agenda there. And it generates the word of the day also. So that's a little quick overview of Easy Speak. Does anybody have any general questions?
I got a little something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know I don't have the same access that I used to have, but there's a button, right, to create the next meeting. Is there?
Yeah, I've created it all the way till Christmas.
Oh, okay, because
Because we had a problem last week.
Yes.
Created until Christmas. So I've been out the last couple weeks with some family stuff, and so I got behind a lot. We're now
Okay,
back
all
on
right.
track.
Good. Thank you, Maurice. No further questions. I'll now relinquish the lectern back to our Toastmaster, David.
When you're going to easyspeak.org, make sure you put the dash in there. It isn't EasySpeak all one word. There is a dash, easy-speak.org. That concludes the educational portion of today's meeting. I'd like to turn the lectern over to our president, Mr. Thomas. Thanks, sir.
I'm sure for all of those who spoke today, we have now reached the moment of euphoria because you know you won't have to speak again. There are no awards yet, but we do have several people making good headway towards getting competent communicators. So I will take this quick moment to bring up. So we got the Smedley Award for all of you who joined our club a few months ago. So as part of Toastmasters, clubs can earn awards. This year, we have already achieved 5 of the goals. There's 10 total goals that we can get. We've already achieved 5. By achieving 5, if we have 20 dues-paying members, we will be a distinguished club. This will be the first time that Hilltoppers Toastmasters, this is the first time Hilltoppers Toastmasters has had 5 goals achieved, possibly more. So this will be the first chance that we've had in like 5 or 6 years to get an award as a club. And that may not seem like a big deal to y'all, but every award we get, Toastmasters gives us money to buy stuff for the club. For example, I think we have currently, because of the Smedley Award, a 10% off our next order, no matter how big it is. So by us getting these awards, it makes it so our club can have nice things, like nice books that we all can use, and the fancy pens.
Okay with it.
Just remember, Justin,
Downtowns
he's
are
almost
pretty.
passed you without a book.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine what he'd do if he had a book?
I should have got my hat.
Coming for you. Just wait.
So, that's all I would like to say about awards. So we are on track that if we can have 20 members in in June, that we will achieve one, possibly the next level, the first level of award for our club, possibly the next level up if we can get 2 more goals achieved before that, which is very possible, because one of them is just getting one more competent communicator. So now we're going to go over the agenda for next time. That's going to be me, because Yu Ying's not here. So do I have a volunteer for Toastmaster?
I will not be here next week.
Okay,
I'll be
Dave's not
at-
volunteering
I'll
for
be at
anything,
Toastmasters.
gotcha.
No, I'll be in Birmingham next week.
Table topics.
I'll do table topics.
You gonna bring it?
Yes.
Speaker,
Me.
I always count on running volunteer for the speaker. Second speaker.
I guess I can speak again.
Rock on, Christine. See, yet another person who's going to beat you to communicator, Tristan. Gotta get on this. General evaluator. I'm assuming that was a raising of your hand.
It was, yeah, I was wanting to stretch.
You're like you're trying to hug Morris.
First evaluator. Second evaluator. Running out of people, so I'll write my name down for second evaluator. Timer?
Well, if Yu Ying doesn't show up next week, I'll do timer.
Grammarian? I think that's everybody who's here, so I'll have to just assign it. Heather, are you going to be able to make it next week?
Maybe.
I know school's in, so I know how hard it is. Okay, so does anybody want to volunteer for the educational overview?
I'll do that too.
Okay.
I got some knowledge to drop.
So I'll just make an assignment for grammarian.
Since I won't be here next week, I would like to volunteer for a speech the following week.
Okay. I'll punch that in.
I'm not letting Ren pass me.
Let's see, so that's next week's the 4th, so that'd be the 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that in.
Just make sure.
With that, our meeting is adjourned. I'm cheering you for